Anxiety is not created by events, it is created by how we perceive them. In today's video, we explore the timeless Stoic truth that your peace, strength, and freedom are not found by controlling life, but by mastering the lens through which you view it. When you change your perspective, you dissolve the invisible chains of worry, fear, and self-doubt that have quietly held you back. You will learn how to reclaim your power, focus only on what you can control, and walk through life's storms with steady calmness. Every small shift in awareness, every deliberate choice to see challenges as teachers rather than threats, moves you closer to true inner freedom. Stay with us, because the greatest transformation does not happen outside. It happens the moment you reclaim the authority over your own mind, and step fully into a life of resilience, clarity, and peace. When you change your perspective, you will dissolve anxiety. Have you ever asked yourself, are all the worries you are carrying today truly necessary? Or are they simply products of how you perceive the world? Human beings are often not hurt by the actual events themselves, but by the way they think about them. A rejection, a failure, a small disruption in life, all of these can turn into enormous burdens in your mind if you allow yourself to be swept away by them. But if you change your perspective, if you change the way you assign meaning to events, you will realize, many things are simply not worth the anxiety you have given them. This is the core spirit of Stoic philosophy. Stoicism does not attempt to change the outside world. It teaches you to change how you react, how you assign meaning to every experience. When you stop viewing life as a series of looming threats and start seeing it as a journey of growth, each challenge will no longer be a burden, but rather an opportunity to mature. It is not circumstances, but perception that creates either peace or chaos in your mind. And when you change your perspective, you will realize, inner freedom has never been out of reach. It has always begun from within you, from every small choice, every mindful thought, and every deliberate response you make each day. Worry does not help you, it only drains your vitality. Worry often disguises itself under the mask of prudence. You think that by worrying, you are preparing, being responsible, controlling your life. But in truth, every time you let your mind endlessly replay a situation that hasn't happened yet, you are draining your energy for something that does not even exist. And when reality finally comes, you are left with no strength to face it. Stoic philosophy is not unfamiliar with anxiety. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived through eras full of turmoil, war, loss, and betrayal. But they understood that worrying does not change the future. It only makes the present more chaotic. The only thing you truly control is your reaction at this very moment. You might be worrying about a difficult conversation, a major decision, or matters far beyond your reach. But worry provides no answers. It only makes you more exhausted, less clear-headed, more self-doubting. Every minute you spend worrying is a minute you lose your presence, your clarity, your ability to act decisively and mindfully. Pause and ask yourself, what purpose is my worry serving? If it does not lead to concrete action, it is nothing but a harmful distraction. Resilience does not come from controlling every situation. It comes from maintaining inner stability amidst uncertainty. When you dismantle the habit of worry, you not only feel lighter, you begin to truly touch inner freedom. Set boundaries for your mind, focus only on what you can control. We grew up believing that if we worry enough, think far enough, try hard enough, we can control everything. But reality consistently proves the opposite. No one can control another's emotions, tomorrow's weather, or the sudden turns of life. The only thing you can truly master is yourself. Your thoughts, your reactions, your choices. Stoics do not try to dominate the world. They learn to clearly distinguish between two things, what they can control and what they cannot. This is not indifference. It is the highest form of inner freedom. Because once you understand this boundary, you stop wasting energy on what is beyond your reach. You stop letting your mind be dragged along by uncertainty and chaos. Think about the last time you felt mentally exhausted. Maybe you spent the whole day ruminating about someone's cold attitude, worrying about the outcome of a job interview, or stressing over unsettling news. None of those were under your control. Yet the one thing you could control, your attitude, your preparation, your focus, was likely neglected. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have the power to not have an opinion." Meaning, you can choose not to let your mind be hijacked by everything happening around you. You do not need to react to every word, every action, every event. You can stand firm amid the chaos of life and save your energy for what truly matters. When you set boundaries for your mind, you are protecting yourself from being scattered. You are reclaiming your power from things unworthy of influencing your state of mind. It is a courageous act, a silent declaration. I do not live to react to the world. I live to act according to my values. And when you focus only on what you can control, you no longer feel powerless. You regain clarity. You become steady. Each small action you take within your circle of control accumulates into true strength, a strength that no one can take away. Facing your fear, when you dare to look straight at the worst. Fear is often larger than the event itself. It is human instinct to exaggerate the unseen, to imagine the worst-case scenario, and then be imprisoned by our own imagination. But Stoics do not avoid fear. They walk straight into the heart of it. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. It is the art of contemplating potential misfortunes. Not to wallow in worry, but to prepare your mindset, to understand that even if the worst happens, you can endure it. Worried about a presentation? Imagine, you stutter, you forget your lines. Your colleagues seem disappointed. But life goes on. You learn, you become stronger. Worried about a relationship breaking apart? Imagine, they leave. You hurt. But you eventually learn to stand on your own 2 feet. When you dare to envision the worst and accept it in your mind, you strip fear of its power. You stop being a passive prey and become the one who faces life head-on. And most of the time, reality will turn out to be far gentler than the horrors your mind once imagined. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about how many times you have worried about something that never even happened, only to realize you unnecessarily tormented yourself. Facing your fears does not mean denying risks. It means accepting that risks are an inevitable part of life, but not letting them prevent you from acting. It means looking squarely at what you fear most and asking, if this happens, can I endure it? What will I do next? And you will realize, beyond fear lies freedom. When you no longer tremble at possibilities, you can act with courage, with resilience, and with a calm mind. Facing fear not only reduces anxiety, it builds the foundation for true inner freedom, a freedom that no one can ever take away, because it comes from within you. The present moment is the only place you can truly touch. Most of the worries gnawing at your mind today do not truly exist in the present. They belong to murky realms. The future you have yet to reach, or the past you can never return to correct. And the more you allow your mind to drift into these 2 worlds, the more helpless and anxious you feel. Stoicism teaches that the only time you truly possess is this moment. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. Only now, right here. This is where you have the power to choose, to act, to change. This is the only place where life actually happens. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not let your mind be distracted by the whole of your life ahead. Focus on the present moment." Because he understood, a scattered mind is the root of anxiety and weakness. When you let your mind wander, you lose your true power, the power of action right now. Think about the last time you drowned in anxiety. Maybe you spent hours, even days, worrying about an upcoming event. You imagined every possible negative scenario. Replayed them over and over in your mind. But when the moment finally arrived, you realized that only your actual actions at that time made any difference. The earlier worry served no purpose. It only stole your peace. Living in the present does not mean shirking responsibility or ceasing preparation for the future. It means that instead of being overwhelmed by things that have not yet come, you focus all your energy on doing your best with what you have right now. When preparing for a presentation, you cannot fully control the audience's emotions. But you can control your diligent preparation today. When entering an important conversation, you cannot guarantee the outcome. But you can be fully present, listen deeply, and respond calmly. We often think that worrying prepares us better. But in truth, it is presence and focus on the present that make us strong. Each time your mind wants to drift into the past or rush into the future, gently pull it back to what you are doing now, to the breath you are feeling. Bit by bit, you will find yourself less anxious. You will find yourself more grounded. Because you are no longer living in the illusions of time, but in reality, where you have the power to choose, to change. To live true to your values and goals. And right there, in every mindful action, every moment you consciously live, inner freedom begins to blossom. A freedom not because the external world has become perfect, but because you have found steadiness within yourself amidst all its fluctuations. Nothing lasts forever, neither sadness nor joy. There is a simple truth that the human mind finds hard to accept: everything changes. No joy lasts forever, and no sorrow remains endlessly. But precisely because we forget this impermanence, we so easily get trapped in anxiety, fear, and despair. Stoics understood this law of impermanence well. They reminded themselves daily that every state, every event, whether good or bad, is only a temporary guest in the journey of life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Time sweeps away all things, whether glorious memories or deep sorrows." If you are going through a difficult period, your mind may tell you that this pain will never end. But that is just an illusion. No emotion, no matter how intense, can forever imprison you. Time passes, and with it, all experiences inevitably change form. What keeps you up at night today may become a faint memory years later. And even the sweetest moments are the same. Happiness, success, recognition, none of them are permanent. If you cling to them, you live in fear of losing them. If you accept their impermanence, you savor each moment more deeply, without being haunted by inevitable loss. Understanding impermanence does not make you cold or detached. On the contrary, it helps you cherish what you have more deeply while maintaining an awakened distance from the outside world. You know that a success does not make you nobler, nor does a failure define your worth. Grasping impermanence is the first step to building resilience in the face of adversity. When you no longer expect everything to stay good forever, you do not collapse when they change. You embrace each fluctuation as a natural part of the journey toward maturity. And from there, you walk closer to inner freedom. You are no longer imprisoned by the ups and downs of life. You are free not because life stops changing, but because you have stopped resisting it. Each time you remind yourself, "This too shall pass," you restore a little peace to your mind. You choose to live with open eyes, an open heart, and a steadfast will that is not easily shaken. You do not need everything to last forever. You just need to learn how to stand firm within the flow of change, like a rock in a river, neither resisting nor being swept away. Simply present, and growing alongside time. Recording your mind, writing it down to untangle invisible knots. We often think that merely thinking in our heads is enough to understand and control our emotions. But in truth, the mind flows like a river, and if you merely let everything drift by, it is easy to get lost in endless loops of anxiety and assumptions. This is why Stoics valued the practice of journaling. For them, writing was not just about recording events. It was about illuminating the inner world, separating what is worth worrying about from what is mere illusion. By pulling thoughts out of your mind and placing them onto paper, you make vague emotions tangible, observable, and analyzable. Seneca once said, "Every night before sleep, I review my day. Reflecting on my words and actions, asking whether I have done well or not. This was how he prevented mistakes and simmering anxieties from accumulating and controlling his next day. Imagine. You are anxious about an important meeting. In your mind, the worry keeps growing, creating countless negative scenarios. But when you write it down, I am worried I will perform poorly. And ask yourself, what can I control about this? You force yourself to confront the fear directly instead of letting it hide in the shadows. Writing acts like a mirror reflecting your mind. It shows you clearly how much of your anxiety is based on reality, and how much is self-created fear. Very often, simply seeing this clearly already halves the anxiety. Writing is also how you cultivate clear thinking and decisiveness. When you make it a habit to spend a few minutes each day writing about what you are worried about, the values you are pursuing, and the actions you can take today, you are quietly but powerfully training your capacity for inner self-mastery. You do not need to be a writer. You just need to be honest. Honest with your emotions, your fears, and your imperfections. No embellishments, no avoidance. Write to confront. Write to untangle. Write to grow. When you make recording your mind a habit, you will gradually realize the biggest knots are not outside in the world, they are within your own patterns of thought and reaction. And through patience, bit by bit, you can untangle them. You make your mind clearer, lighter, freer. In a chaotic world, a blank page can become a sanctuary, a place where you reconnect with mindfulness and your inner strength. And sometimes, all it takes is a pen and a few honest lines to change the way you walk through a stormy day. Challenges are training, hardship does not come to defeat you. We often view difficulties as enemies to be avoided. Every failure, every wound, is seen as a sign of defeat. But the Stoics thought differently. To them, adversity is not an injustice, it is an essential part of the journey of growth. Epictetus once said, "No one becomes truly strong without being tested." Just as muscles need weight to grow strong, the inner self needs to be forged through the bumps and bruises of life. Each time you stand firm in the face of failure, each time you refuse to be drowned by pain, you are building a foundation of resilience that no one can ever take from you. Think back to the hardest periods of your life. At the time, you may have felt weak, stuck, even ready to give up. But if you look closely, it was precisely those moments that taught you more than any easy victory. They taught you patience, taught you to release unrealistic expectations, taught you to believe in your own strength. Stoicism does not suggest you seek out pain blindly. It teaches you not to flee from it. Every challenge that appears is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you can uphold your values and dignity not only when life is smooth, but especially when it is at its roughest. So next time hardship knocks on your door, do not rush to ask, "Why me?" Instead, ask, "What lesson is waiting for me behind this challenge?" When you change your perspective in this way, adversity is no longer a punishment. It becomes a part of the training process, a journey that leads you to resilience, inner freedom, and a life of true meaning. Anxiety is a habit, and habits can be rewritten. Many people believe anxiety is an inseparable part of human nature. They accept it as inevitable. Like someone living with chronic pain without ever trying to heal it. But the Stoics saw it differently. They viewed anxiety not as a life sentence, but as a habit of the mind, and any habit can be changed. Anxiety, at its core, is a conditioned response. Your mind has learned to react with fear, restlessness, and worst-case scenarios whenever faced with uncertainty. Over time, worrying becomes an automatic reflex, much like instinctively shielding your eyes from a bright light. But habits, no matter how deeply ingrained, can be rewritten. Through awareness. Through patience. Through the intentional practice of a new way of responding. The Stoics remind us. Instead of reacting by reflex, pause. When an event happens, bad news, an uncertain situation, instead of letting your mind immediately spiral into anxiety, pause and ask yourself, is this within my control? Is it really as bad as I am imagining? How can I act in a way that upholds my integrity? Each time you stop to ask questions instead of blindly reacting, you are rewriting your mind's operating patterns. You are creating a new mental pathway, from anxiety to reason, from chaos to clarity. Changing a habit does not happen overnight. Just as a river does not carve deep into stone with one gentle wave, your mind needs time to settle into greater peace. But with each small step, each time you choose not to fall into the old loop, you move closer to inner freedom. Anxiety is not your fate. It is merely an old chapter in your story. And starting today, you have the right to pick up the pen and write a new chapter, where peace, resilience, and mindfulness guide your every step. Resilience is not about feeling no pain, it's about not collapsing because of it. We often mistakenly think that resilience means feeling no pain. But in reality, the strongest souls are those who have walked through pain, faced loss, fallen, and then stood back up on their own strength. In Stoic philosophy, resilience does not mean coldness or numbness. It is a state of mind where you recognize that pain is real but refuse to let it define you. You allow yourself to feel sorrow, disappointment, loss, but you do not let them drown you. You rise from within, stronger with each fall. Imagine a tree standing in a storm. The tree cannot stop the wind, rain, or thunder. But because of the storm, its roots dig deeper into the earth. Its trunk grows more flexible, and its vitality becomes even stronger. Your soul is the same. Every pain you endure is an opportunity to root deeper within yourself. To realize that you are much stronger than you ever thought. Marcus Aurelius faced the deaths of loved ones, relentless wars, betrayal, and injustice. But he did not let tragedy wither his heart. Instead, he wrote in his journals, "If this is not a catastrophe for my soul, then by nature it is not a catastrophe." He understood that pain is simply a part of life. It cannot rob a person of dignity and reason unless that person allows it. You will hurt. You will fall. You will have days when you want to give up. But remember, resilience does not mean never crying, never doubting, never hurting. Resilience means not letting those moments dictate your fate. When facing pain, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? It is not denial of emotion, it is the conscious act of turning pain into material for strengthening your inner self. When you do that, you not only survive challenges, you grow because of them. Life will never be free of hardship. But you can become the kind of person no storm can break. Not because you feel nothing, but because you have learned to feel deeply, and then move forward with a braver heart, a stronger will, and a freer soul each day. When you live by values, you no longer let the world steer your mind. Many people live in a constant state of anxiety without realizing that its root lies in a lack of inner direction. When you do not know what you truly value, you are easily pulled by others' expectations, losing your way in the chaos of life. The Stoics understood that inner freedom does not come from controlling the external world, but from controlling how you live according to the values you have chosen. Epictetus once said, "If you want to be free, learn to live by your own principles." When you clearly define what truly matters to you, integrity, courage, kindness, wisdom, you build an inner compass that remains steadfast despite all the noise around you. Living by values does not mean becoming rigid or closed off. On the contrary, it allows you to be more flexible, because you know what can change and what you will never compromise. You no longer worry about what others think. You no longer chase approval, because you know your worth does not come from external applause, but from a deep agreement with yourself. Imagine. A person without core values is like a ship drifting aimlessly at sea, easily swept away by any storm. But a person who lives by values is like a ship anchored securely. The winds may blow, the waves may rage, but the ship does not drift, because it is held fast by something stronger than surface life. When you live by values, the small anxieties gradually dissolve. You no longer feel the need to please everyone. You are no longer swayed by baseless criticism. You know when to stay silent, when to act, when to let go, and when to persevere. Living with purpose and values also grants you steadiness in the hardest times. Because when challenges come, you no longer ask, "What will happen to me?" You ask, "How can I act in a way that remains true to what I believe in?" It is loyalty to your own values that allows you to maintain your peace, even when life does not go your way. And above all, it leads you to a form of freedom no one can grant or take away. The freedom to master yourself. The freedom to live a meaningful life. The freedom to walk the path you have deliberately chosen. When you live with values, every day becomes a silent testimony to your inner strength. You no longer need to prove anything to the world. Living true to yourself is already the greatest victory. You cannot stop the winds from changing direction, nor can you control every twist and turn of life. But you always have the power to choose how you receive and move forward. When you change the way you see things, you are no longer a victim of circumstances. You become the master of your own mind, your emotions, and your life. Peace does not come from life becoming easier. It comes from a mind that knows how to discern what truly matters, that focuses on what it can control, and that knows how to let go of what lies beyond its reach. Each time you choose to shift your perspective, you remove another invisible shackle that has kept you bound to anxiety, insecurity, and fear. The journey of freeing yourself from anxiety is not a miracle that happens in a single moment. It is a process, where every small shift in awareness accumulates into solid inner strength. And from that strength, you will build a life of resilience, clarity, and freedom. A life you can truly be proud to call your own.